Go ahead and start. All right. Welcome. Today is our stability series day. This is a set sequence class, roughly 26 poses. Sometimes there's slight variations, but pretty much the same thing every week from this class. And we start standing and props at the top of the mat. It could be a chair with the seat facing us or blocks. And for the chair, this is just for hand placement. I'm going to use blocks today, but knowing that the chair can go right there and be a safe place for our hands, for our downward dogs and planks and step backs. And as long as we have all four legs of the chair on the mat, it shouldn't slide. We'll begin stability series, finding that mountain pose. And taking time to thank ourselves for showing up or logging on. We're starting off with at least 10 deep breaths here in the mountain pose, wiggling out the feet, spreading the toes, gripping the mat, feeling a connection with the mat, with the ground, the slight bend in the knees, keeping the kneecaps hovering, quads active. We're going to check on that tucking in of the pelvis, the spine, tall, chin parallel, shoulders relaxed and down, some lightness, some airiness in the arms and hands. Resting out by the side, fingers spread kind of wide. And taking the time to begin deepening each inhale. Extending each exhale out just a little bit longer. There's the option to add some visualization to this. Imagine pulling the breath up from the base of the spine, pulling it all the way up to the crown of the head, and then as we exhale, sending it back down. Maybe imagining a warm white light traveling up and down the spine with that breath. Still each inhale, pulling it up. Each exhale, sending it back down. Taking one more big deep breath in here, filling belly, ribs, and chest. Taking that slight pause at the top, and as we exhale, sending that breath back down, releasing, letting go. And your next inhale, we're inhaling, both arms up overhead. Interlacing fingers, pointers extended as we exhale. Another breath in, lengthening, reaching, getting as tall as possible. Then as we exhale, one long exhale, slide, side bend right, inhaling right, back up to tall neutral spine. Long, slow exhale, side bend left. Inhaling right back up. And then exhaling, taking it to the right again. And then here we find our options. We can keep the biceps pressed tight to the ears. Reaching those fingers up to the sky, beginning to generate some heat. We've opted to drop that right arm down. And if we're using that right hand on the hip for support, press into that hip. Use that support. Get a little deeper. Lean that left arm a little further over. Feeling that expansion in the rib cage, in the left side body. And then your next inhale, we're rising back up to that tall neutral spine. And exhale, side bend left. Same options here. Biceps squeezing ears, fingers reaching, pointing, generating heat in that arm. If we want to get a little deeper, drop that left hand down, use that support. Press into the hip, lean a little further over to the left, and then your next inhale, rising back up, tall, neutral spine. One, slow exhale as we find that slight back bend, press it forwards, wave the balls of feet, inhaling right, back up to that tall, neutral spine. And then we're exhaling, flat back squat. We're bending the knees and we're pressing the hips back. Torso is coming. Maybe to rest on the quads as we extend the arms out and we're creating that nice long line, fingers to tailbone. Reach those arms away, press those hips back. One more breath in. And then exhaling, forward fold, spilling it forward, letting it go. Options here, playing into putting weight in the toes, weight in the heels, rocking back and forth, maybe grabbing opposite elbows, swaying left and right. Maybe stillness today. We don't have to do anything. This is time for you to check in with your body. See if any little intuitive movements might feel good here. And don't have to do anything. We can give the low back that time under tension. And just rest here, allowing each exhale to maybe let those fingers sink a little deeper. We're here for one more breath in. And then as we exhale, we're interlacing fingers, pointers extended, bending into the knees. And then on that inhale, we're pressing down through the feet, rising back up to that tall, extended mountain. Exhale, sinking in. Inhale, lengthen, reach the arms up. Exhale, side bend right, holding here, maybe getting a little deeper. Second time through, still have that option. Keep the biceps pressed tight to the ears. Maybe drop that hand down for support. We looking to get a little extra stretching in, or maybe are we firing up the core this morning? Choosing your options, and then next inhale, we're rising back up to that tall neutral spine. Exhale, side bend left. Same thing here. Fire up the core, stretch those arms out, generate that heat. Maybe drop that left arm, use that support. Get a little deeper, find someplace new. And then your next inhale, rising back up, tall, neutral spine. Exhale, back bend. We're staying in this one, pressing hips forward, weight in the balls of the feet. Maybe raising the gaze, tracing those index fingers across the ceiling. Just making sure you can breathe easy. And then your next inhale, rising back up, tall, neutral spine. Exhale, flat back squat, bending knees. Pressing the hips back and creating that nice long line, fingers to tailbone, stretch it out, reach. Press those hands away, one more breath in. And we're exhaling, forward fold. Second time in the forward fold, option to wrap the forearms behind the calf, squeezing the elbows together, pulling those shoulder blades apart, maybe cupping the hands underneath the heels. And straightening the legs, getting a little extra shoulder stretch, stepping on the fingers. And wherever we're at, whatever options we're taking in this forward fold, on your next inhale, we're finding our downhill skier. Elbows just above the knees, palms come together, fingers spread wide. Another big breath in here. And then as we exhale, placing hands, chair, blocks, mat, and right foot takes that step up and back. And then when we're here, we're finding our foundation, feeling safe, feeling secure, floating the hands, engaging the core and rising on an inhale. Sinking in as we exhale and beginning to check on that back foot. We haven't done much hip opening yet, but seeing where our edge is right now. And this warm up still very beginning of class, but can we walk that right foot back any? Can we come up onto the toe pads of that right foot, engaging that back calf? Do we have that knee over ankle alignment on that front foot? Can we stretch the arms up a little higher, spin the pinky fingers in? Find that reach, find that extension, and then your next exhale, slowly lowering with control. Framing the front foot, we're looking forward on inhale. Exhaling, right foot steps up to meet the left. And downhill skier, big breath in. Exhale, placing hands, left foot takes that step up and back. And then floating the fingers, engaging the core, and rising on an inhale. Sinking in as we exhale. Another breath in, lengthening, reaching, stretching, fingers to the ceiling. We're high up on the toe pads of the back foot. Knee over ankle on that front right leg. And strength all the way through the fingers. Finding our gaze, picking a spot out. On the floor, locking the gaze. And this time, next inhale, maybe adding slight back bend, finding that high crescent lunge. And then as we exhale, slowly lower with control, core engaged on the way down, framing the front foot when our hands rise. Looking forward on an inhale, exhaling. Left foot steps up to meet the right and fold. And this forward fold, grabbing one of our blocks and placing that in between the calves, giving that block a little squeeze. We're taking one more breath in here. And then exhale, chair pose, bend the knees. We're dropping the hips this time and then choosing our adventure with our hands at heart center, shoulder height, shoulder width. Maybe we raise them up a little bit. What kind of workout are we giving the shoulders today? Choosing your option, choosing your intensity. What did you come here for? One more big breath in and out. Maybe sinking a little lower on that exhale. And then inhale, we're rising up, tiptoe pose, arms making their way to shoulder height, shoulder width. As we raise the heels off of the mat, tongue to the roof of the mouth. We're definitely locking our gaze here. Gaze is down. Steady gaze, steady breath, steady body. Letting those calves fire up. One more inhale, raising toe, raising heels up a little higher, and then exhaling, slowly lowering back into mountain pose and removing that block. Setting that to the side. One more in the squat series, arms returning, shoulder height, shoulder width, standing heroes pose. This time as we exhale, we're bending into the knees. Hips are lowering, but we're attempting to keep shoulders directly above the hips. Weight is in the toe pads. And then we're finding that shaky place. Letting the legs get a little wobbly, a little shaky. Embrace the shake. Can we add that smile? Can we relax the face? And the eyes, can we unclench the teeth and sink just a little lower? And then your next inhale, we're rising all the way back up, tiptoe pose one more time, and then exhale and sinking down. Heels lowering and pedaling out the feet. From here, from our mountain pose, taking a couple cleansing breaths, slowing things down, balancing sequences next. We're going to start with weight in the right foot, spreading the toes wide, gripping the mat, and then on an inhale, left knee rises. A foot is flexed as our standing head to knee. Slight bend in that right leg. Attention on the breath, on that focal point, that yoga drishti you may have picked out. Lock the gaze. One more breath in. And exhale, slowly lower. Pedaling the feet out. Bringing weight into that left foot, spreading toes wide, gripping the mat, and then raising that right knee up towards 90. And holding right here. Just taking notice of all those muscles firing up in that standing ankle. Just letting them work. Allowing them to work. Or balancing. Sometimes we just have to get out of our way. And next exhale, we're slowly lowering. Pedaling the feet out. Bringing weight back into the right foot, spreading toes wide, gripping the mat, and then we're finding our tree pose with that left. We can start out with that kickstand. Just bringing the left heel to the right ankle. Toes can tap up and down here. That's the foundation of the pose. We can raise the sole of the foot up to the calf or even the knee or thigh. We can grow our tree however we wish. The branches are your own. We do whatever we want with our arms. Make up something new. Wonderful, wonderful. And then your next exhale, we're slowly lowering with control. Pedaling the feet out, back into the left foot. Spread the toes wide, grip the mat. We can start with that kickstand with the right leg. We can raise it up a little higher. Grow our branches. Just keep that breath slow and steady. And your next exhale, we're slowly lowering. Pedaling the feet out. Back to the right side for eagle pose. For this one, we're going to begin with our arms out at a T, weight in the right foot, and we're going to cross the left foot, left leg over the right. We can start with just a little kickstand. Left arm comes under right, back of the hands meet, maybe the palms connect. And then from here, we begin choosing our options. We can get into that shoulder stretch, raising the elbows up. We can cross that left leg a little higher and begin to sink in, attempting to keep shoulders over the hips, just like that standing hero's pose. And really any combination of these. The shoulder stretches here. We're still working that standing leg just with the kickstand, tapping left toes up and down. No matter what options we're choosing, we're making sure we're getting something out of this. And then next exhale, we're springing out, lowering that left leg down, and arms still at a T, preparing to switch sides, weight in the left foot. We're crossing the right leg over, right arm crosses under. The hands meet, and then find the shoulder stretch, maybe sink a little lower. And your next exhale, springing out, pedaling out the feet. From here, we're coming to the top of the mat. We're going to set our blocks on their highest setting. Couple more balance poses. We're finding that mountain pose in front. We're going to attempt to slowly lower with control here from the mountain pose. First up is warrior three. We're going to take a big breath in here, weight in our right foot. As we exhale, as we hinge down, maybe bringing the hands towards our blocks, left leg rises. As the torso lowers, you still have that slight bend in the right knee. As we raise that left leg up, foot is flexed, pinky toe spinning down, and we're pressing away. And then choosing our adventure with our hands. We have the block here, with hands at heart center, behind us an airplane, maybe out in front and streamline. Where do you need to be? One more breath in and out. And then next inhale, slowly returning to the mountain with control, pedaling out the feet, finding that mountain pose, and then preparing to switch sides, weight in that left foot. And on an exhale, we begin hinging forward, raising that right leg up.
choosing what we're doing with our hands. And as long, and then flexing that right foot. Both legs very engaged here. Standing leg doing work, right leg as well. Finding that length, like we're pressing into an imaginary wall behind us. Press that right foot away. And then your next inhale. Slowly rising. Wonderful, wonderful. From here, coming to the top right corner of the mat, and we're turning to face the right. And we're stepping left foot out. We're stepping both our feet out. We're finding a wide leg stance, log edge of our mat. Hands on our hips, shoulder blades squeeze together. And then as we exhale, slowly lower and back is flat as we lower down. And then eventually rounding the spine, letting the head hang and arms hang. And we can come right down the middle in this wide leg forward fold. We have a lot of options in wide leg forward fold. Right down the middle is nothing wrong with that at all. Good release in the low back. Now we can also bring our heels in, toes out, and we can bend into one knee, straightening the opposite leg, maybe raising the toes up on it. We can come to this side to side motion. We can move our props along the floor with us. We can move our hands along the floor. We can keep our hands at heart center and add a little bit of strengthening to this stretch. Whatever options we've chosen, even out both sides if we're taking those pulses, and then meeting back in the middle. Dropping the hands down. The soft bend of the knees on our next inhale, we're slowly uncurling. Rising back up and finding 5-pointed star, arms out to a T. And then from here, we're going to find our warrior two, back of the room. We're going to pivot our left foot and then bend into the left knee and gazing over that front middle finger. I might have just mixed up some left and right. So we're doing a warrior two, facing the back. And then on your next inhale, we're flipping the front palm, hinging that forward. And as we exhale, reversing that warrior. Finding that side bend, choosing our neck stretch, adding our gaze. Maybe down at the back foot, up at that top arm, reaching overhead. One more breath in here, reaching that arm back. And then as we exhale, we're cartwheeling hands over. Front forearm finds the front thigh, right arm. Top arm, bicep to ear, reach. Stretch here. We're attempting to create a nice long line, fingers to toes. And we also have the option to drop that front arm down. That front leg, press into it, generate that twist, shoulder stack. And then your next inhale, we're rising back up. That warrior two. Sinking in as we exhale. Next inhale, straightening both legs, both arms up overhead. And then we're switching sides as we exhale, pivoting opposite foot and bending the front knee. Now we're doing warrior two, opposite side of the mat. Stretching those fingers out. Relaxing shoulders down. Next inhale, flip the front palm, lean forward. Exhale. Reverse. Use the gaze. And then focus on the breath or that side bend. Now, if we can notice that rib cage expand, if we notice that stretch in that side body, we can reach back just a little further. And then on an exhale, we're cartwheeling over extended side angle. Forearm to thigh, top arm, bicep to ear. Armpit, palm spinning down, maybe dropping that bottom arm down and generating that twist. And then your next inhale, we're rising back up to that warrior two, sinking in as we exhale. Next inhale, straightening both legs, arms up overhead, both toes pivoting to face the right side of the mat. And we're bringing our hands down to our hips. We're bending in to that back leg, and then we're stepping back up to the front of the mat and turning to face the front. Wonderful, wonderful blocks at the top of the mat, maybe still. From here, finding our mountain pose. And we're inhaling, both arms up overhead. And then from here, we're sliding that right foot back, just maybe a foot, 18 inches. And then as we exhale, we're slowly lowering, pyramid pose. And then in this pyramid pose, really hands can rest on the blocks. They can dangle down. We're trying to find that left hamstring. And we can bend and straighten that left knee. We can press the left hip back, right hip forward, and not looking for the most intense stretch. We're looking for that one we can hold our own balance of ease and effort. Stillness in the breath, stillness in the body. Maybe some stillness in the mind. And this is one of the longest holds in class. In these last couple breaths, we begin to notice the fingers sinking a little more. We created some space. Are we able to soften, to deepen, to let go? And then while we're here, we're interlacing fingers. Pointers extended, and we're rising slowly on a 5 count on your next inhale. We're slowly uncurling for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Wonderful. Stepping right foot forward. Stepping left foot back. And then on an exhale, finding pyramid pose. This side, rounding the spine. We're just doming over, letting everything go, and then playing into that right knee. Slight bending, straightening, adjusting the hips. Chin is tucked. Breath is deep. We're interlacing fingers, pointers extended, and then next inhale. Slowly uncurling. Stepping that left foot up and exhaling, hands coming down through heart center, returning to mountain pose. Blocks or props at the top of the mat. And we're going to finish our standing sequence with a couple flows. We're going to attempt to do like 3 in a row. Vinyasa passes. One breath, one movement before we make our way down onto the mats. On your next inhale, we're inhaling both arms up overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, placing hands, right foot steps back, followed by the left, pressing hips up and back. Downward dog, big breath in here. Exhaling, we pedal out the feet, press away through the palms. Bending one knee, dropping opposite heel. We just did the hamstrings. Hopefully they're a little loose. We're getting a little play here. And then from here, we're going to start those vinyasa passes on your next inhale. Inhaling out to plank. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, plank. And then coming down onto one hip and swinging the legs around front. And then from here, we're slowly lowering. Halftime break, maybe getting a little early core in. We're going to come down with that boat. Knees are bent, arms at the number 11, and we're slowly lowering. Feeling that core engage as we take one vertebrae at a time down to the mat. And eventually extending the arms long, feet falling out to the side and taking a little breather. Awesome, awesome standing sequence. I'm getting a little 30, 45 seconds here. From here, we're going to pull the right knee into the chest. Give that a nice tight squeeze. Maybe pull that into the middle. Maybe take it out to the side like a breaststroke kick. Maybe some small little hip circles here. What would feel good for you? Exploring that range of motion. And then one more nice tight squeeze. And then we're bending the left knee, bringing the sole of that left foot to the mat, extending right leg up, and then crossing right ankle just above left knee. Recline pigeon. We can stay right here. We can apply gentle pressure. Pressing that right palm into the right knee. We can pull that left knee into the chest, interlacing fingers behind it and using the right elbow to press the right knee away. What intensity are you looking for today? Find it. Lean into the discomfort. We can do hard things. One more breath in, one more time. Squeezing that knee to the forehead. And then as we exhale, slowly lowering. One vertebrae at a time, returning to the mat, arms out by the side. We're extending that right leg up and then slowly lowering it towards the end of the mat and then pulling the left knee into the chest. Giving that a nice tight squeeze into the middle, out to the side, maybe those little hip circles. And then bending the Right knee, bringing the sole of that foot to the mat. One more nice tight squeeze on the left, and then extending the left leg up, crossing left ankle just above right knee, and then choosing our options for a reclined pigeon this side, staying right here. Applying that gentle pressure, interlacing fingers behind the right knee, using the left elbow to press away as we pull that right knee in. If you're feeling it, you're doing it. One more squeeze here, and then next exhale, slowly lowering. Extending that last leg up, slowly lowering it down to meet the right. From here, making sure we have one of our blocks by our sides. We're going to get into some core. We're going to extend both legs long and bring our arms down by our side. Palms are down. Arms are traveling down towards the waist. And we're going to start off with some double leg lifts. We're going to start out with 5 of these. On our first inhale, we're raising both legs up, shoulders, gaze goes towards the navel. Exhale, slowly lower, maybe heels stay hovering. Inhaling up for 2. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up for 3. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up for 4. Exhale, lower. And one more time. Inhale, up for 5. Holding here. And then we're going to take the legs out to a V. And slowly bring it back for 1. And 2. And 3. And 4. And 5. And then slowly lower with control. Oh, bend the knees. Take some windshield wipers, maybe a happy baby or double knee hug. Roll it out, release. And then eventually all meeting with knees hovering, arms out by the side. We're going to point the toes about a 90-degree bend. And we're going to start off with 10 little single toe taps. One at a time, just tapping one toe down, raising it back up, attempting to keep that 90-degree bend in the knees. 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll do 12. 2 more, 11 and 12. And then tapping both feet down, taking a little rest. From here, we're scooting our bums to the right side of the mat, and then we're rolling over onto our left side. And we're bringing elbow under shoulder. We're stacking the hips, we're stacking the knees, we're stacking the ankles. Right hand is on our hip. And then from here, we're going to raise the hips up and extend that right arm up. And then little hip taps, lowering the hips down, touching the mat, raising it back up for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 more up for 11 and 12. We're holding that 12th one, maybe extending the right leg long. And maybe 3 little leg lifts, raise that leg up for 1, 2, and 3. And then slowly lowering, switching sides. Coming on to your right side, elbow under shoulder. Hips, knees, ankles stacked, left hand on the hip. And then we're raising the hips up, maybe floating that left arm. And then 12 little dips, lowering down, raising up for 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Holding that 12th one, extending left leg long, and then maybe 3 little leg lifts. Raise it up for 1, 2, and 3. Exhale, sinking down. Back onto our backs. Knees bent, soles of the feet on the mat. And we're finding that block. Bringing that in between the knees. And then floating the feet. Knees are about that 90-degree bend, arms out at the T. And as we exhale with that block squeeze, we're twisting right. And then here, we're gonna let the legs hover. Maybe add a kick out as well. And then right back to those obliques. And then your next inhale, bending the knees, using the core, bringing the knees back up over the hips, rolling out that lumbar, and then on an exhale, twisting left. Maybe gazing right, maybe legs hover. Maybe we add that kick out. Maybe we relax the face and add a little smile in the core. And just one more big breath in and out. And then next inhale, bending the knees, using the core, knees come up over the hips, removing that block. Legs falling down to the mat, heels showing our feet out to the edge, and maybe taking some windshield wipers. Knees falling left, falling right, maybe giving ourselves a double knee hug or happy baby. Any intuitive movements, listening to your body. A couple breaths here to release. And we're going to know exactly what is going to feel best for you. Trust your gut. And we're evening out both sides. We're finding stillness and then grabbing that block in our hands, extending that up overhead beyond the top of the mat, and then maybe adding slight bend in knees. We're going to do one curl up here, kind of using this block as a little pendulum. We're taking one more breath in, and then as we exhale, swinging that block forward and using the core rising up. And swinging our legs around back and making our way down onto our tummies. And we're going to bring our chin to the mat, palms about mid-chest. We're untucking the toes and feet are a comfortable distance apart here. Finding as much length in the legs as we can. And our first back bend today is that baby cobra. On our inhale, we're pressing down on the tops of the feet, protecting the low back, peeling a couple ribs off the mat, and maybe floating the hands. Gaze is down, neck in line with the spine. Eyes are closed, and we're just staring at the floor. Maybe adding a little smile, relaxing the face. One more breath in here. And then exhale, we're slowly lowering, taking a cheek. And while we're here, we're extending our arms long out by our sides. And then palms up or palms down. I haven't tried. I've been working on palms down for like 2 years. It still doesn't feel good. I'm always palms up. But if you have that shoulder mobility and you can spin those palms down, Take that opportunity here, returning our chin to the mat, walking the legs long. And then on our next inhale, we're finding that half locust, floating the feet, peeling a couple ribs off of the mat. Toes are pointed, legs are long here. We're finding that length, we're finding that distance, and we're adding a little height, raising the legs up a little higher. Maybe peeling one more rib off of the mat. And then on your next exhale, we're slowly lowering with control, taking opposite cheek, finding that little neck stretch, ankles falling out to the side, and we're wiggling our hands out. Leaving them long by our sides. Palms down, returning our chin to the mat, walking the legs long, preparing for full locust on our inhale, feet float. Raising the arms off of the mat, peeling a couple ribs off the mat, gaze is still down, neck in line with the spine. Eyes, cheek, jaw relax, let that tension go, add a little smile. One more breath in here. And exhale, slowly lower. Taking opposite cheek, ankles falling to the side. Last back bend, we have option for bow pose or a second full locust. We're going to return our chin to the mat and we're going to check to see, can we bend one knee and make contact with the top of that foot with our hands? And if we can get both feet in our hands, we can try bow pose. And a second full locust, we're working the same muscles. So on our inhale, if we're in that full locust, we're raising feet, we're floating arms, we're peeling a couple ribs off the mat. If we're trying that bow pose, we are kicking our feet into our hands, generating that back bend. Feeling the shoulder blades squeeze together. Use that leg strength. Kick the feet into the hands. And wherever we're at, next exhale, we're slowly lowering with control. Taking opposite cheek. And taking a couple breaths here. And then rolling over onto our favorite side, resting our cheek on our bicep, curling the knees in. And then here we're pressing ourselves up to seated, swinging our legs around front. And maybe gathering some props for some forward folds. Always an option to raise the hips up on blanket or bolster. And blocks can be nice for our forward folds too. We're going to start out with single head to knee, bringing the sole of the right foot into the left thigh. And we can put a block under that right hip. Depending on how our hamstrings feeling, maybe a block under that left knee. And from here, we're going to inhale both arms up overhead, twisting our torso towards that left leg. And then as we exhale, we're hinging, we're reaching back as flat as far as we can, and then rounding, dropping everything down. And just breathe. On these single heads to knees, we're just beginning to relax everything down. Very little stress, very little strain here. Just letting gravity do the work. And your next inhale is slowly uncurling. Rising up one vertebra at a time, switching out our legs, switching out any props we found comfort with. And we're inhaling both arms up overhead, twisting our torso towards that right leg, and then slowly lowering. letting the spine round, letting the chin tuck, and hands resting wherever they may. And your next inhale, we're slowly uncurling. This time extending both legs long. And still that option for blocks under the knees. And we're inhaling both arms up overhead. And then as we exhale again, we're reaching back as flat, finding that extension and eventually dropping everything down. And this one down the middle, we'll hold this one a little longer. We'll try to get a little deeper. We're still using these first 30 or so seconds. Just allow our body's time to soften in. Using the breath. Next inhale. Taking a big, deep, three-part breath, expanding belly, ribs, and chest, whole torso expanding. And then on that exhale, beginning to creep the hands forward. And if we've created any space, can we soften in? Can we find somewhere new? And each exhale be an opportunity to let go of a little tension, find a little more room. And on your next inhale, we're slowly uncurling. Rising up one vertebra at a time. Removing any props we may have been using. And one last time, making our way down onto our back. We come down on our elbows. We can add a little bit more core if we wish. Arms out at a T, and we're bending the knees. We're floating the feet. And on an exhale, we're twisting right, gazing left, and making sure that right leg is resting comfortably. Maybe on the floor, maybe on a blanket or block or bolster. And the work is done. And begin to check the body for any tension. On your next inhale, again slowly, bringing the knees back up over the hips. And then as we exhale, we're twisting left, gazing right, and still looking for that left leg to be resting comfortably. Your next inhale. And using the core a little bit to bring those knees over the hips. And then as we exhale, soles of the feet lowering down to the mat, pinky toes finding the wood. And be countering with some windshield wipers. Or a double knee hug, happy baby. Getting the last little bit of tension out before making your way to your version of Shavasana. And we'll do a very short version of a progressive body scan meditation. Very, very short version. But when we have found our comfortable position, oh, we can use a blanket as a pillow, or we have a bolster, or we can do blanket or blocks or bolster under the knees. We can elevate the ankles. We want to get ourselves as comfortable as possible. Find that spot for you where your body can come to as close to complete and total relaxation as possible. And then from here, we have the option to stretch out our arms and legs. Reach the fingers out, spread the toes, and then flex everything, making a fist, curling the toes, squeezing it all, squeezing the face, squeezing the glutes, tightening the whole body, the whole face, tight, tight, tight. And then as we exhale, releasing everything all at once. And then from here, maybe just a quick mental scan, attempting to allow our bodies to remain as still as possible. And bring our attention to our feet, relax the toes, tops and bottoms of the feet and the ankles. Relax the lower legs, knees and thighs. Bring our awareness to our glutes and allowing them to sink into the mat. Relaxing the lower back, middle, upper back, and the shoulder blades. Bring our attention to our hands, relaxing the fingers and palms and back of the hand. Letting go of the wrists, forearms and elbows and upper arms. And just mentally checking the neck for tension. If you notice any, releasing it with a thought. And bringing our awareness to our face. Relaxing the forehead and eyes, temples, cheeks and jaw, tongue and mouth. When there's no tension in the body, the breath can become very relaxed and subtle. Allow it to flow in and out with its natural rhythm. Maybe watching the rise and fall of the chest. Maybe fall in the air as it enters and exits the nostrils. Remaining a witness to the breath. Beginning to deepen the breath. Maybe taking a deep 3-part breath here, feeling belly, ribs, chest. As we exhale, bringing movement back to the fingers and toes. And as we wake more and more parts of the body up, taking our time and adding any other intuitive movements that might feel good here. Single, double knee hug, full body stretch, anything at all. And eventually making our way back to that comfortable seated position and closing with one final inhale, inhaling both arms up overhead, gathering new energy for the day, exhaling hands to heart center, sealing that in, carrying that with us. And I thank you all for joining me. I thank you at home as well. Thank you, Mom. And any questions, comments, concerns? You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you, thank you, thank you.